Recording in progress.
Now we move on to something else here, still at ethics at the workplace. I want you to take some time and look at those photos or pictures. Then you see what is taking place in those photos in 2 minutes time. Now, what we are trying to say here is that ethics is about integrity, work attitude, commitment, teamwork, and discipline. These are some of the issues that we have talked about, and with this, then leads to productivity. If there is a question of there is a integrity among members of the organization, there is a good attitude, they are committed, members are committed, then it leads to productivity. Teamwork is also very important. Discipline, inspiration, determination, innovation, excellence, passion, and vision. These are things that lead to a successful workplace. Now, let's look at how to manage ethics in the workplace. So I want us to look at managing of ethics at the workplace. How do you manage ethics at the workplace? It's a very important area. And I want to take some time on this. So we begin by saying that ethics is a matter of values and associated behaviors. So values are discerned through the process of ongoing reflection, and the bottom line of an ethics program is accomplishing preferred behavior in the workplace. So you need to accomplish the preferred behavior in a workplace is very important. And the best way to handle ethical dilemmas is to avoid their occurrence in the first place. That is why practice such as developing codes of ethics and code of conduct are very important or very imperative. Now, we are talking about dealing with these unethical behaviors before they come up. So these dilemmas of unethical behaviors should be dealt with very fast before they come up. So you don't need to wait till they come up. Just handle them before they arise. So you need to work on these issues before they arise. It's very important that you deal with these issues by having the code of ethics code of conduct, among others, which are very important tools, in an organization. So the code of conduct, the code of ethics should help the organization to deal with these unethical behaviors or mannerisms before they arise. Now, you don't actually have to wait for some time. When these issues occur, then that's when you deal with them. Deal them as fast as you can so that they don't actually arise. And by doing that, you need to develop some rules, you need to develop regulations of the organization. You need to come up with a code of conduct and the ethics, as we have said. You need also to find out a good way of handling these unethical behaviors. You can also have a reporting system, to deal with these kind of behaviors. So people can be tasked with reporting some unethical behaviors in offices. Say, for example, offices can be developed just to report unethical behavior. And by doing that, then you'll be able to tackle these mistakes, these problems before they arise. Now, then we also say that whenever you want to manage ethics at the workplace, integrate ethics management with other management practices. Some organizations have become widely known as operating in a highly ethical manner. So you help people recognize and address their mistakes and then support them to continue to try operating ethically. So help people to recognize and address their mistakes and support them to continue to operate ethically. So that's a very important component, it's a very important issue that need to be dealt with. So make ethics decisions in groups and make decisions public as appropriate. So you have to come up with ethics decision in groups and make the decision that you come up public and appropriate. Now we move on to something else again, still on ethics. So we are saying that you deal honestly and fairly with the clients. So whenever you are having the clients in an organization, try to deal with them fairly and honestly. Deal with them fairly and honestly. It's very important that you do that. So the fairness of dealing with these people is very key. It's very important that you don't actually harm the employees. So you need to be fair in your dealing with the employees as an employer, so that employees don't actually complain day in, day out. Then recognize that fair and genuine competition is a fundamental service to which our prospective clients are entitled. So genuine competition is very key. Then maintain a high standard of work and comply with the plans and the specifications in the execution of all works we undertake. So there's need to have a high standard of work and comply with the plans and even the specifications in the delivery of all the duties that people undertake in an organization. So we're talking about managing ethics in the workplace, and then we move on to something else again. So then we are saying that you deal justly with the employees and with those whom we conduct. So you need to be just in dealing with the employees and with those people that you conduct, you deal with or you talk with quite often in organization. So then you need also to conduct the business that is healthy and safe to employees. So the business that you deal with or you are carrying out should be healthy and it should be safe to employees. And of those with whom we contract and the employees and of the community are safeguarded. So people should be safeguarded. They should be operating in a healthy and safe environment so that there is no question of harm among the employees. So those are some of the things we are talking about on managing ethics in the workplace as we move on. So the business can be healthy and safe if at all this kind of business offers or provides security and safety measures to its employees. The business can be safe if at all it does not subject the workers to harm. Like, say, for example, dangerous chemicals, dangerous machines. So there should be safety standards whenever you are dealing with the machines in an organization or in a business, so to say. Now, but another important aspect is that how if by accident these machines harm the employees? What are you going to do as an employer? What will be your role? What will be your task as an employer? What are some of the things you'll do whenever the machines harm the employees? That's a question I want you to think about it. And imagine you are an employer. What are you going to do in this regard of machines that have caused harm to employees? Think about that question for some few minutes, then we progress. Now, I know you must have come up with issues, things such as, or answers such as, if somebody is met with risks or has had an accident in an organization, then the best employer should find out the cause of the accident. But before even finding out the cause of the accident, say for example, he has been injured, has been bruised, the hand is fractured, then you need to take the person immediately to the hospital. And if there is a health insurance scheme, you have insured your workers against accidents, then you take the employee to the hospital, then he's treated, then he is given the dues for such a kind of a harm that has been caused by the machines within the organization. So you take the person to the hospital. You don't actually wait for time. So take the person affected to the hospital. He should be treated. He should be treated well. properly. Then after the treatment, then you also find out what was the cause, what caused the accident, what caused really the accident that led to the injury of the employee. Now, if it is a question of maybe the employee's carelessness, then you need to advise the employee. Then if it is the question of the machines not being in good form or good condition that they led to the accident, then you need to repair the machines. Then you need also to warn the employees to be very careful. Let the employees be careful in terms of dealing with the machines or chemicals in the organization and even equipments. So warn them. So then next is give our informed and vigorous support for sound legislation. Take every opportunity to render in community service. Avoid all conduct or practice likely to lead or do injury to the building industry or the association. So give the informed, vigorous support to all sound legislation. Then you take every opportunity of rendering community service. So you provide some community service. Then avoid all conduct or practice like to discredit or do injury to an organization. So you avoid all the issues that will discredit or cause an injury to an organization. That is something that you need to consider. So cases of maybe within the organization, maybe people misbehaving is something that can discredit the organization. Issues like, say, for example, questions of stealing within the organization that can discredit the organization. Aspects of late coming in the job and leaving the job before the said term can also discredit the organization. And in terms of the injury has to do with the, say, for example, machines can cause harm to workers. So the machines can cause harm to workers. So machines cause harm to workers. They can cause an injury to the worker. So you need to consider that and avoid such kind of issues. Chemicals can also cause an injury and cause harm to the employees. So consider those things whenever you are dealing with the people. Then we have another point is recognizing that diversity exists. So how do you reduce prejudices? Prejudices and the use of stereotypes at the job. How do you reduce prejudice and the use of stereotypes at the job place? Think about that point for some minutes. Discuss in 2 minutes, then we shall pick up in 2 minutes or 1 minute time. we want to talk what is a prejudice and what is a stereotype. Sometimes stereotypes are cases of you talk about something negative about a particular group of people, race, community, society, a sex, like you talk about like women are a lesser sex. That's a stereotypical statement. And in some places they talk of a stereotype, another stereotypical statement can be men are rough. That is stereotypical that all men are rough. Or you say that all individuals from this particular site are thieves. That is being stereotypical. So you are talking about something in general. You are making a general statement that is not true. It doesn't mean that all men are rough. That is not true. It doesn't mean that all women are lesser sex or women are lesser sex. That's stereotypical. So how do you deal with those questions of prejudices and stereotypes? How do you reduce them? Recognize that diversity exists and learning to value and respect fundamental differences. So diversity exists. People are different. So you need to learn to value and respect these differences. So they don't just say that men are rough or men are weird, men are stupid, like you say men are stupid, or children are dull. So those are things that need not to be said because the people are different. There is that diversity among humanity. So consider that diversity. It's very important to consider diversity and you don't actually make such erroneous statements. So then admit one's own biases and prejudices and commit to reduce them. So admit that you have been biased, have been prejudiced, and commit to reduce them. Reduce this kind of biases. So don't actually repeat these biases. Whenever you correct them, then don't make a repetition of the same. There are things that might actually affect the smooth working of the workers within the organization. So you need not to talk about them, say something negative about people. The next is dismissing myths about diverse others when in a group of friends or associates. So that what is a myth? A myth is a story that has no truth within it. So you need to dismiss myths about diverse others when in a group of friends or associates. So avoid these mythical statements that talk about issues that bring about issues of prejudice and the stereotypical nature. So myths. Then we are also talking about how do you minimize miscommunication with the diverse others. So how do you minimize miscommunication with diverse others, with different people? How do you minimize this? So the first issue or a component is educating oneself about differences by reading, listening, and broadening one's experience based about diverse people. So read, listen, and broaden your experience about other different groups of people so that you minimize miscommunication. Don't talk about this group is a group of thieves. You don't talk about this group has a bad culture. Don't say that this community has a bad kind of tradition or way of life. So you need to educate yourself by reading, listening, and broadening one's experience about other people. So that by understanding the other people within the community or society, then you will be able to deal with the people well and you avoid those cases of stereotypical nature and the prejudice that we have talked about. So educating yourself about other people is very important. Then you communicate effectively by listening attentively and asking questions about what one did not understand. So you communicate effectively by asking questions about what you did not understand so that you don't misinterpret, you don't miscommunicate. a statement said by a friend. Then avoid terms that spotlight certain groups and imply the individuals is an exception. So avoid some terms that spotlight some groups, certain groups, that talk negative about certain groups, statements such as thieves, maybe statements such as robbers, gangsters, murderers, rapists, etc. So you need to avoid such kind of terms on certain groups of people till you find out the truth is when you can be allowed to use such a kind of terms. But if you use such a kind of terms and you find out that somebody is not a thief, is not a robber, is not a murderer, then what generally you have done is you have been stereotypical and you have been prejudiced, you have been biased about a particular group of people or a particular individual. Then form positive relationship with diverse others. So how building relationship with diverse, how do you build a relationship with other people? How do you build this relationship with other people? The different people that are not a part of your group, part of your community, part of your society, or part of your generation or of your family. So, but you need first of all to form a positive relationship with other people. So form a positive relationship with other people. Then number two, seek feedback from diverse others about how well one is communicating, respect for them, and valuing their diversity. So you need to seek or get feedback from these different people, how they are communicating. And by doing that, as you seek a feedback, you need to respect them and you need to value their diversity. Diversity is about differences. How do you value their differences, so to speak? You can only value that a diversity or differences by learning their culture, their traditions, and accepting such a people in the community. So then treat diverse others as invited guests by showing interest in them rather than treating them as strangers. So you need to treat the diverse others by in looking at them as invited guests and showed interest in them than looking at them as strangers. So they should not be looked at as strangers. So these are not strangers, they are people within the community, they are people within our society. So you need not to look at them as strangers. Now let's look at the strategies for enhancing workplace diversity. So remember, diversity is about different groups, so different people coming together, races, different gender coming together, different humanity coming together, people from different backgrounds coming together, people from different cultures coming together to work in an organization. So diversity is about having different groups of people within a setting, within an organization, an industry, etc. So how do you enhance workplace diversity of all these things, these issues, things to do with the gender, things to do with the race, things to do with the culture, tradition, customs, etc. How do you enhance such a diversity of different humanity at the workplace? So number one is improve corporate culture by unleashing creativity and the performance. So you need to have a culture which unleashes creativity and performance within all the groups. Then give new employees to work area where they can expect to advance. So you give them an opportunity to work an area where they can expect to advance. So you also improve relationship with the clients. So there should be an improvement of relationship with clients. So the relationship with the clients should be improved. How do you deal with the customer that come to the workplace? So how do you handle these customers? Now, relationship between the employer and the client can improve through the following: giving the employees the client's incentives, giving the clients discounts. You can also talk well to the clients. You can also encourage the clients to use maybe certain products. You can also give services to clients. Say, for example, if it's a business or if it's an industry organization, a company. I've seen some companies that, like the sugar production companies, give some packets of sugar to the employees. So they, at the end of the month, they give them some 3 or 5 kilograms of sugar to the employees. They give the employees t-shirts. They give the employees caps. They give employees shoes printed with the name of the company. So you, by doing that, you'll be improving the relationship with your clients. So then you increase employee morale, productivity, and retention. So improve the morale, the productivity, and retention. So you need to ensure that employees are productive. You need to retain them. So retention is very important, because there are some organizations which do not retain the employees for quite some time. So they employ somebody, then you hear that after a period of 2 weeks or 3 weeks, then the person is sacked. So you need to consider those issues. It's very important that you consider those issues, and they don't actually have those issues affecting the employees. So it's very important that you consider those issues that you have talked about, and we have said that you improve the relationship with employees, increase employee morale, productivity, and retention. Some people employ people, then they sack them after a short period of time. It is not worth, it's not ethical, it's not good. So then you need also to ensure that they are productive in the place of work. So they need to be productive. Then it decreases employee complaints and litigation. So you make sure that employees are not complaining maybe because of the salary, incentives, gifts, remuneration, pension, etc. And you also reduce the questions of legal matters, taking the employer to the court of law. So you need to work on that, those issues. So they should not take you to a court of law every time. Cases of litigation. Litigation is about legal matters. Maybe the organization has not done what is expected. Then the employees take the people to these people to court of law. So then next issue. So let's look at the ethical behavior and employee relations. So I want to read through to this, and I would say that ethical behavior and employee relations in any work organizations is very crucial for general development, the production of goods and services, both for domestic consumption and international trade or exchange, creation of national wealth, attainment of political stability, and inclusive benefits of sustainable human development. So organizations adhering to ethical standards determine the well-being of all the stakeholders, the organization's productivity, and subsequent profitability, as well as the macroeconomic growth and the development of the nation. So there is need to have a good relationship between the employer and the employee. And by doing that, then that also calls for ethical behavior. And this, by having these good employee relations, then you'll achieve the following. There should be the general development of the organization, production of goods and services for both domestic consumption and international trade, or even exchange. There will be creation of national wealth. There will be attainment of political stability and the inclusive benefits of sustainable human development, so to speak. Now, Then we move on. We move on to something else. We move on to something else. And we are talking about managing time at the workplace. How do employees manage time at the workplace? So I want to give you time you think about how time can be managed at the workplace. Now, as an individual, how do you manage your time? So managing time is another component of workplace ethics. But I want to give some seconds, then you talk about, you'll find out how do people manage time. So the first thing is that you need to prioritize your tasks. So have priority. Then as a manager, there will be interruptions, questions, and probably some disasters throughout the work day. So the key is to remain focused on the important tasks and small jobs that must get done to prevent overlooking anything. So you prioritize your tasks, which tasks should come first, which one should follow, which one should be the last, and which is the important task that should be done in an organization. So you need to have priority. You prioritize your tasks, your duties. You don't just begin duties sometimes that are given the deadline of 1 month, and then there's a task that is given a deadline of a day or two. So you begin those tasks that are urgent. Then you also get the job done right. So get the job done right. So you have to do the job right. So whenever you are given a job to partake or to do, then you need to consider how that job should be done so that you don't actually do the job haphazardly. So partake the tasks given by the organization or the management with a lot of zeal so that you don't actually do the work haphazardly. And then do not waste time. So you don't waste time on things that do not matter. So when associates do not fully understand the purpose of their job, a lot of time is spent questioning. So you start questioning people, you start talking about things that do not actually matter. And by doing that, you'll be doing something that is not right. So do not waste time at the workplace. By doing or by focusing on things that do not actually matter so much. And that's why it's important to spend some initial time explaining the procedure of the task, its purpose, and its significance so that you don't waste a lot of time. So you also delegate the tasks. Delegation is about assigning people duties, assigning people roles. So you delegate the tasks. How do you delegate the tasks? You delegate these tasks by giving individuals some duties. So as a good employer as a good employer, as a good employer, you don't actually partake tasks on your own. You need to delegate the tasks to the people. It's very important that you delegate the tasks to the people so that they help you. Now, I want to ask you, if you have been given duties to partake as say, for example, as a supervisor, how do you delegate? Say, for example, you have a job to do with the cleaning of the organization, cleaning the windows, cleaning the veranda, cleaning the compound. How do you delegate these duties? How do you delegate these cleaning duties to the employees? So take time, think about times when you have had some tasks and delegated tasks. Which tasks have you delegated to individuals? And how have you delegated those tasks? I want you to think about that as we move on. How do you delegate the task? What procedure do you use to delegate the tasks? Take time, think about that question, then we pick up as we move on. Many times we have been given tasks, and this is the procedure of how tasks should be delegated so that you save time. So you need to give somebody a task, somebody who has the capacity, who has the skills, knowledge, somebody who is competent, somebody who is committed to that particular task. So you look at the potential of your staff, then you give tasks based on their potential. That's the first thing. You need also to consider how effective or how fast somebody is in performing that particular task, so that you don't just delegate the task to individual whom you know very well that will not perform the tasks to completion. Find out the capability, the capacity of individuals before you give the tasks. Another thing is that you need also to consider the question of diligence in terms of performance of the tasks. It's very important that you consider those issues, then you make the performance of tasks very effective. Now, as we summarize this area, this was our last discussion on work ethics. We have handled 7 topics, 7 lectures. So these 7 lectures have opened up our mind on what work ethics is and what we should do in terms of ensuring that people become ethical and avoid ethical behaviors. Now, so far, so good. I just want to make a summary of what we have tackled now. We have looked at a number of things on ethics, how to manage work ethics, management of work ethics, managing time, among other issues. So this presentation should help you as a student. It should help you as a student develop good ethics at the workplace and even at the institution that you are learning from, etc. So ethics is a very detailed topic. It's a very wide, and I've tried to make it very brief so that you, to your level, so that you understand what it means by ethics and what is entailed in ethical issues or in ethics. So workplace ethics, as we wind up, is very important. So in a nutshell, as I wrap up the discussion on workplace ethics, I want to state that you need to develop a good working relationship with the employees. If you are an employer, you need to work towards ensuring that duties are covered on time. You need to ensure that there is a code of conduct and a code of ethics. You need also to ensure that people that perform duties at the workplace are remunerated well. So the issue of remuneration is clear. It should be a clear form of remuneration of your workers. The question of incentives is also very key. You need to consider how people are going to be given the incentives. How do you give incentives? Which criteria are you going to use to give the incentives? You need also to ensure that there is a reporting system at the workplace. There should be reports. People should report to relevant authorities in terms of what ethical behaviors are. Some of the unethical behaviors take place, but employers do not actually understand what is taking place. So you need to have a good reporting system where people can report such kind of issues, such kind of messes in an organization. If there are questions of theft, then you need to find out who is stealing and why is he stealing from the organization when the organization is paying him, remunerating him. So find out those issues and have the punishment scheme. How do you punish the workers that have done a wrong, that have gone against what you expect them to do? So it's very important that you find out clearly the issues of ethics and unethical behavior in an organization so that your organization does not lose an image. Now, with those few issues that we have raised, I just want to stop there for today, and we pick up another time on a different area. I want to make sure that we move on smoothly to another area. There are a number of issues we want to discuss, so we pick up another time. Thank you.